Hey there, musicians. It's Mr. Clegg with video number 4. We're going to talk about intervals in this video. And the thing about intervals that's kind of weird is they just have names. And so basically it's just a way of naming the distance between notes. So we already learned about half steps or semitones and whole steps. Those are kind of one way to measure distances between notes. But now I'm going to teach you about the interval names. And basically, they go like this. Actually, I'm going to pause while I write, and then I'll explain what I did. Okay, so now I've just written some stuff here. So the first kind of interval is called a unison, and that's when you're playing the same, when the distance between two notes is 0. They're the same note. So that's a unison right there. Now, it doesn't make that much sense to talk about unison when you're just talking about one instrument, but usually we're talking about unison when there's two different instruments playing the same note, or two different people singing the same note. Then they're singing in unison, or they're playing a unison. So there you go. So an E and an E, two different instruments playing the same note. A second is when you have two different notes on the scale. So for example, if you're playing from a C to an E, a C to a D, sorry, C to a D, too many things in my head. So C to D, that's a second. D to an E, that's also a second. And then E to an F is also a second, but that's a different kind of second that's called a minor second. So depending on whether it's a whole or a half step, a second is either called a major second or a minor second. A major second would be for a whole, and a minor second would be for a half. And I'm not going to get too deep into the way you name intervals right now in this video, because I just want you to have heard this language a little bit so it'll make sense when we get into the next thing. But basically, if you're going from one to the next thing, that's a second. If you are going from one thing, skip one, and you're going, it's like 1, 2, 3. Right? So if you're going from here to there, that is called a third. If you're going up to here, this is called a fourth. And if you're going up to the G, that would be called a fifth. And then a sixth and a seventh. And then if you go all the way to the next note, or the next note that has the same name, like C, that is called an octave. And octave, again, is a fancy, I believe it's Latin for eighth, so it kind of fits into the thing. Spanish speakers will recognize the word octave as an octavo, like eighth, in Spanish too. So, and then your ninth and your 10th is just intervals that are greater than an octave. Just so you know, seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths can be referred to as major or minor, but the other ones cannot, and I'm not going to get into that right now because I want to keep it focused on stuff that you need to know to be able to get moving with your music right now. So that's it for this video. Hopefully that made sense, and I'll see you in the next one.